Hello everyone, my name is Judy محمد and today I'm going to be taking you guys on a sort of trip through the experience called Jack and the Beanstalk. Now I know that name might ring a lot of bells in your head because this is a very old story that I'm pretty sure a lot of parents read to their children. So since I'm sure a lot of you guys already know the story, I'm going to be reading you guys just the introduction so that you can know a bit more facts about the story before we enter. So, Jack and the Beanstalk is an English fairy tale originally appearing in the book The Story of Jack Springs and the Enchanted Bean in 1734. The story of Jack and the Beanstalk has been amended several times throughout history, often known for its rhymes such as fee, fi, fo, fum. I smell the blood of an Englishman. Be he alive or be he dead, I'll grind his bones to make my bread. Now, Jack and the Beanstalk has been performed in many theaters and is taught in many schools around the United Kingdom. Now that we've got the boring part done, let's go through this experience together. So, when you spawn in, the first thing that you will see is going to be the house of Jack and his mother. Now, they are in poverty. They don't have that much money and they no longer have money to feed themselves. So when you enter the house, you are going to see multiple stuff. It is very entertaining. They have pots and pans. They have barrels filled with food. So when you enter, you will see multiple barrels, and these barrels, to me, they look empty. What do you think? They have a huge library of books that look pretty old, but I would personally like reading a lot of them. There is this amazing fireplace. They have a bit of food, some ceramic bowls, and this looks like firewood to me. They have a blanket, a bucket of water, and a mop to clean around. They have a table to have dinner at, and a tea kettle and cups, where if you have seen another experience, you will know that this kind of reminds me of Alice in Wonderland. Now, let's go out and let's just do a bit of exploration. Now, when you go out of the house, you will see the infamous cow that I think is everyone's favorite character. Now, for those who don't know, this is the cow that Jack sold to the old man for the beans, okay? Now, to me, I think that selling such a cute cow would be a personal crime. It's adorable, okay? Now, when you go and leave the cow, which I don't want to, you will see a wheat farm. Now, this is not a confirmed thing, but I personally believe it, and a bunch of people believe that the mother of Jack was a wheat farmer, which I think sell the wheat and keep the cow. Now, let's leave the cow and the wheat farm and the house and let's go explore a bit more. So, where we are heading right now, we are going to be heading to the market. Now, for those who don't know, the market is where Jack sells. This is the cow. Now, this is the bean sprout. We're going to keep this, for the end, keep it more interesting. Now, when you go around here, you are going to see the old man. Now, first of all, this is the sign, market this way, which is the sign that Jack actually saw, but we're not gonna walk all of that. Okay, now this is the old man. He is the one that sold the beans to Jack for the cow. Now, he told Jack that there were magical beans. Okay, Jack struggled to sell daisies, and Jack noticed that there was a sign that said market over there. So Jack... Now, what happened over here in the market was that Jack's mother had told him to go and sell the cow. So Jack saw the old man, and the old man said that he would offer these magical beans for him to keep the cow. Now, I think that a cow and a couple of beans, 5 beans to be exact, is quite of an unfair trade, but Jack was a kid and he accepted it. Now, when Jack went home, and his mom heard about this deal, she got very, very mad and she threw the beans outside of the window, which is a pretty calm reaction to find out that your son had just sold the last resort for you guys to eat. But when Jack slept and the next day when he woke up, he heard something knocking on his window. And when he looked outside the window, he saw the huge and humongous, honestly, bean sprout. Now Jack decided to climb it. Now that's what we are going to be doing right now. We are going to be climbing this bean sprout, and it's huge. It's honestly humongous. Now this is going to take a couple of times, so let me ask you guys, do you know? Now this is going to take a long time, so I'm going to be asking you guys the question. Do you know who Jack is now? Do you know what happened at the market? Remember that, because we are going to be looking at the answer and taking more depth into the story in the end of this. So, now this is a rough climb. I personally don't understand how Jack was able to do it. But looks like we are nearing the end. Nope, still going. Now, look at this. This is the castle. Now, look at this castle. It's humongous, number one, and number two, it's absolutely gorgeous. Now, let's cross this bridge. Honestly, it looks pretty unsafe, and I think that if you fall, you will meet an end. Now, when you look over here, there are torches over there and over here, and now I suddenly feel super claustrophobic, and now I feel like I'm very small. Now, when we go into this, we are going to see the giant's room. Now, let's name off a couple of stuff that we see in the giant room. Now, first of all, we see a cauldron. Preferably, I call it a witch's cauldron, but sadly, the Titan is not a witch. Would be very cool. Now, there is a huge fireplace, which, if you remember, there is another fireplace in Jack's house. Now, when we look over up there, we will see the infamous golden chicken. And down there are the golden eggs. When you look over there, you will see the vase that yelled, "Master, Master," when Jack had tried to take it. Now, there are pillows, or I actually think that those are rice, like bags of rice, but whatever you say, it doesn't matter. Now, it doesn't really matter. So let's go back down. Now, sadly, there isn't an actual Titan, like there isn't an actual giant over here. But again, so now that you know everything, can you answer the questions? Who is Jack? What happened at the market? And how did the giant react? So, I'm going to give you guys a bit of time to think about it. So I'm gonna give you guys a bit of time while I climb all the way down this, okay? So I want you guys to think of the 3 questions and, just think of it. And I also want you guys to think, what do you think of this experience? Was it fun? I think it's personally pretty entertaining. I think my favorite character by far in this experience is the cow. And I think a lot of people would agree. I personally agree. The cow is the best character. Now let's make way back to where we spawned. Ooh, okay. Now, back to where we started. Let's see the answers. I think I've given you guys enough time to think of it. Here. Now, let's see the answer. Who was Jack? Jack and his mother lived in an old cottage at the end of a village. One day, Jack's mother told Jack that they had nothing left to eat in the house. Jack's mother decided that the only way to get any food to feed their family was to ask Jack to take Daisy, their cow, away to sell. Jack's mother hoped that Daisy could be bought and exchanged for 5 gold coins. Later that day, Jack took Daisy to the market and was asked a lot of questions about Daisy when he was there. Many people were interested in Daisy, but were quickly disappointed when they found out she could not produce any milk. What happened at the market? Speaking to many people at the market, Jack struggled to sell Daisy. However, in the distance, Jack noticed an individual who was slowly beginning to walk closer towards him. The individual told Jack that he would be more than happy to buy Daisy, but for the exchange of 5 magical beans. Unable to sell Daisy to anyone else, Jack agreed and headed back home. Arriving at the house, Jack's mother asked Jack if he was able to sell Daisy for 5 gold coins. Jack told his mother of his journey and his success of selling Daisy. However, as soon as he mentioned that Daisy has been sold for 5 magical beans, she became very upset, rightfully so, and told Jack that he had made a mistake. That evening, Jack quietly planted the beans in the garden before he went to bed. He was sure that something would grow from them. The following morning, Jack awoke up to outside of his window. He saw a gigantic beanstalk. Jack decided straight away that he wanted to climb the beanstalk. Dumb decision. Personally, if you see a gigantic beanstalk, please do not climb it. He climbed higher and higher and higher, and it probably took really long, until he reached the top. Suddenly Jack stopped. He was at the very top of the beanstalk, and he could see all the way down to the ground. He lifted his head up, and he saw an enormous castle, the one that we saw a couple of times before. Unaware to Jack, this was not any castle, it was a giant's castle. That answers question number 2. Now, question number 3, and that is the last question. How did the giant react? Inside the castle, Jack noticed that everything appeared to be giant in size. As he walked around the castle, he headed towards the kitchen. Entering the kitchen through a large wooden door, Jack saw a huge giant sitting at his large wooden table, sleeping and snoring quite loudly. Hearing the door creak open, the giant woke up. Jack had to find a table and hide away from the giant. While the giant did not know it, Jack could hear everything he was saying. Getting up from his seat, and the giant loudly asked his hen to lay a golden egg. Feeling rather tired, the giant very quickly fell asleep. Jack slowly appeared from where he was, being sneaky, hiding, and decided that the hen would be a perfect item to take back home with him. He knew that it would help feed his family. Jack quickly picked up the helm, held it under his arm, and ran back to the beanstalk. He hurried down the beanstalk and entered his house. Surprisingly, Jack's mother was delighted at what he had found. She would never have to worry about feeding her family ever again. Suddenly, hearing a loud voice, Jack realized that the giant he had seen in the castle had been following him down the beanstalk. Jack's mother quickly grabbed an axe and passed it to Jack. Jack began chopping the beanstalk, managing to cut its thick stalk and beanstalk, and the giant fell to the ground. Now, I think everyone very much enjoyed this experience, and it was honestly such a fun time going through it with you all. Now, there are many other experiences like this that I think me and you will be taking a trip through, and I can't wait for that to happen.